Baldwin's patriotic swan song tonight on Lark Oaks Live. So here's the thing. People who know Joe Biden best, they have long said that there are actually two Joe Bidens. You got Joe Biden, the statesman, and then Joe Biden, the defensive and stubborn politician. Well, tonight we saw the statesman. For 11 minutes, President Biden delivered a primetime address that this country has not seen since LBJ back in 1968. Talking about an American president announcing a decision not to run for re-election, or actually explaining his decision. We already had that Dear John letter on Sunday, but at a time when he already had earned the delegates. That's history with a capital H. Now, his family was seated just off camera to his left in the Oval Office. His son Hunter, daughter Ashley, and of course, Dr. Jill Biden, his first lady, among them. But the address, although they were in the room, was actually not to them, was it? It was to you, the American people, his fellow Americans, and frankly, the entire world. And after weeks of pressure, a speculation and punditry about what led Biden to make his decision, well, tonight we finally heard from him directly.
I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. Nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
In a way, the president returned to the same message he used when he ran in 2020. You remember that one? He'd say that America was in the battle for the soul of the nation. Well, he still believes that to be the case, even saying that he had earned a second term. But this time around, it's not him who would lead the charge.
I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title. It's not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people.
Now, I called it a swan song, but this was actually not a resignation speech, was it? The president made it crystal clear that he's going to run through the tape. He's going to govern until the end of his term, but avoiding a return of Trump will now fall to his Vice President Kamala Harris, who is, as you know, the de facto nominee. Biden actually thanked her tonight, calling her experienced and tough. Now, he never actually mentioned Trump's name, did he? But he didn't have to. His message was clear.
The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. You just have to keep faith. Keep the faith.
Well, here to unpack this historic moment, writer Chris Whipple, author of The Fight of His Life, Inside Joe Biden's White House. Chris, good to see you. I mean, we knew this was forthcoming. Thank you. We knew it was coming. We read the letter on Sunday. President Biden tonight saying that the country is more important than anyone's personal ambition. Did he meet the moment tonight?
He absolutely did. This was just an amazing moment of grace. You know, it was the most difficult and agonizing decision Joe Biden has ever made in his amazing career. Maybe the most difficult of any president since Lyndon Johnson in 1968. And the thing that struck me as fascinating was the way he framed the decision. He said he was passing the torch because he had to unite the party. Now, if you gave Joe Biden truth serum, he might say that in America the people rule, but so does Nancy Pelosi. I'm being slightly facetious, but the point is that he had to make 72 hours ago in his house in Rehoboth Beach, he had to make a cold, hard calculation, and he made it. And that was that there was no path forward with the party leaders abandoning him in what was obviously a bitter, he felt betrayed by some of them. So this was a decision he did not want to make, and yet he made it tonight without bitterness, just grace.
You identify former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Certainly, no one is naive to suggest that although she is a Speaker emeritus, she still wields a great deal of power. You think that she's responsible for his decision to step aside?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that if to this moment Joe Biden believes that he could win this election against Donald Trump,
Really?
and I think he probably believes he could serve another 4 years, I think the calculation here was not that he couldn't win, it was that he saw the party disintegrating around him. There was no path forward with Nancy Pelosi and the other leaders also ready to lower the boom publicly on him this coming week. So he had no choice. You know, he's fought so many battles and he's defied the odds time and time again. This was one last battle that he couldn't win. But boy, in the way he left, in the way he stepped aside, he won it, I think.
Leave it to you, the author of this book, really to look at that word, the uniting of the party. I wonder if other people caught that nuance as well. But Chris, you know, there was something he did not address. He didn't address Trump by name, but he certainly made it very clear that Americans have this choice to make about the direction the United States of America is going to go into. Listen.
America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter?
I mean, that split screen is not very subtle. The issue of character certainly identifies and points to one opponent.
He didn't have to name Trump by name. With that line about character said it all, and I think everybody got the message. You know, the thing that surprised Joe Biden, shocked him really during his presidency more than anything else, was the lasting power of Trumpism. He thought that Donald Trump would be in the rearview mirror by now. He had this old school idea that he had a mandate of 7 million votes and that Trumpism would go away. But it hasn't. And I think he, among other things, not only was he vintage Joe Biden, he was humble, he was plain spoken, he was eloquent tonight, but he also clearly laid out what he sees as the existential choice that faces the American public this year.
What did Shakespeare say? Out damn spot. See, I still remember Shakespeare. Chris Whipple, thank you so much.
Great to be with you.